Well, I do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all about what we anticipate and what we're currently seeing as far as runoffs and flooding as a result of this fire. I do have a couple slides that might help with the perspective of what I'm talking about. This first one, what I wanted to mention was there was 5 watersheds adjacent to Los Alamos National Laboratory property that were affected by this fire. They are the Los Alamos Canyon watershed, the Pajarito 2-mile watershed, Water Canyon, and Canyon de Valle. You can see where they're at up there. And then there were 2 more watersheds, Frijoles, which bounds the laboratory property to the south, and Wahi, which bounds the laboratory property to the north. So that gives you a little perspective of what I would like to talk about. The next slide. Nanny's burn progression map, I only wanted to point out where the laboratory and town site properties were in perspective to the fire itself. So when I'm talking about there have been no canyons on laboratory property that were burned, I'm talking about I guess those properties to the east of 501, because there were those controlled burns that Annie talked about. And so there's 100 feet or so west of 501 that while they are laboratory properties, they had no laboratory activities or historical contamination on those properties. So we were very fortunate this time compared to the Cerro Grande fire that none of the historically contaminated sites at the laboratory burned, nor did the canyon systems around those sites burn. And so something is quite different this time than the Cerro Grande is that we're monitoring what's coming onto the laboratory property and what might come off of the laboratory property, but it's not originating from the laboratory property, if that makes sense. We could go to the next. So one of the questions that was posed to me is what do we anticipate seeing as a result of this fire? And I can tell you, even though the burn didn't take place on the lab proper, we are anticipating seeing waters flowing onto the laboratory, and have seen waters flow onto the laboratory from the watersheds to the west. And as a result of experiencing and working on the Cerro Grande fire, we already started mitigations and could see that this would be a problem in the future if something like this occurs. So some of the things we have done is we have gone into our canyon systems, at this upper left picture, vegetated canyon systems with willows and other things that hold sediments in place and stabilize stream banks. We've wrapped those stream banks, the upper right picture, with jute mat to hold those sediments in place. The consent order, which we are in cooperation with the state executing, drives our remediation of historically contaminated sites in our canyon bottoms. So the lower left and lower center picture is a shot of a vacuum truck and a field crew out excavating nearly 3,000 yards of contaminated soils in our canyon bottoms. Not an easy chore. They're vacuuming actually around the rocks and moving rocks. So since 2000 and the Cerro Grande fire, we've made significant progress with remediation of the canyon bottoms. And that last shot, just some stormwater diversion techniques that we use in our canyon bottoms that actually disperse flow out into floodplains to take some of the energy out of the flow so that they can't churn up and move sediments. These are called cross vein structures, and there are also wing ditches that also take the water, high energy waters that we will be experiencing and have experienced out of the canyon bottom itself disperse them into the flood. If we go to the next slide. Other mitigations that we've done since Cerro Grande include building flood and sediment retention structures in the bottom of the canyons. And we've been very active in trying to controlling sediments and keeping them on laboratory property until our remediations are complete. That upper left picture shows a retention structure as well as the two on the right side. I guess all of them do except for the flume in the middle. And we put several flumes and monitoring stations in the laboratory canyon bottoms that we can monitor flows. We've got greater than 50 monitoring stations across the laboratory's acreage. And some of these are actually have telemetry systems attached to them that we can send a signal to the Buckman drinking water supply project in Santa Fe to let them know if we do have water flowing through our canyon systems. And it's just a notification to them, the operators of that plant, that if they would like to close their infiltration gates because we have a potential for stormwater moving across the laboratory properties and into the Rio Grande, that they have the opportunity to close their gates.